Hi everyone, in this re-rating episode we'll be looking at Veigar. The original video came out on August 13th, 2021, so over 2 years ago. I originally gave him an A+ rating, which is pretty high for a late game scaling champion, but is he actually that good? Before answering that question, let's talk about what's changed. In terms of champion specific developments, they actually had a pretty big change where they made his AP scaling way worse early on, so you want a lot of levels to be stronger, which is pretty bad for the support role. They increased the cast range of his Q and W though, so you can poke a little better, but they also increased the cooldown on his stun, so maxing it first doesn't feel as good, and I just realized that they increased it also in the early game in an earlier patch, so they really did reduce his overall utility. When I made the original video, I recommended that you rush Cosmic Drive instead of a Mythic, and everyone on the enemy team flamed me for it, which is funny because nowadays it's way more expected not to have to rush a Mythic. The reason why Cosmic Drive was great on Veigar was that it required you to have at least 160 ability power, but then you would gain 20 more ability haste and some bonus movement speed once you reach this threshold. This 20 extra ability haste was on top of the existing 30 from the item, meaning that it gave you a total of 50 if you had that 160 ability power, and thanks to Veigar passive, he was the only champion who could really rush the item and get its full value. The item has completely changed now, and instead I'd probably just recommend something like Everfrost so you have more utility, or straight damage to try and one-shot someone. You could also go for Ebon Shroud or Locket though, if you just want to play around his E, but with the increased cooldown, it doesn't feel as powerful. They did add the Glacial Augment rune, which is okay on Veigar, but because his stun is already not guaranteed and is usually used to just keep people trapped, I wouldn't recommend it on him. Now I'll admit, I played a couple of games as Veigar, and in 2 of them I was completely useless, and in the final one I played I ended with a scoreline of 7-0-14 and over 1000 AP in 28 minutes, so this pick is quite variable. But when it comes to re-rating him, I'm going to bump him down from an A+ to an A-. He just doesn't have enough utility to be a stable support, because if he ever falls behind, he really will feel quite useless and will just chain int kills to the enemy. Also, as mobility has increased more and more, his Ks just isn't as good of an ability, because if people can simply dash through it, then he is truly screwed. If you can snowball a game though with some kills and stack that AP for free from the support role, then he can still be that monster that can 1v9 the game, but because that isn't very reliable, I think this rating is more fair for the little Yordle. Now this community rated Veigar as a 3.66, which ranks him 5th on this list, and it's not too surprising to me. Because many League games are so snowbally and chaotic, then Veigar is actually fairly decent as he builds up some free AP from kill participation to the point that he can become a real nuisance in the late game. I just do worry that he is being a bit power crept out of the game in general as an immobile mage, and honestly, I can easily see bot lane being his best lane in general. Don't forget to check out my community tab if you want to rate any of the other upcoming supports to have your opinion be heard. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, I hope you leave it a like, and the next champion we'll be covering is Misfortune, so make sure to subscribe if you'd be interested in seeing that, and I want to wish you good luck on your off-meta adventures.